All right, well, good evening. I was going to say good morning because that's usually what I'm saying when I'm standing in this space with staff. Welcome. I'm glad everyone was able to make it tonight. Myself and Superintendent Baumann are here tonight to share what information we have currently and answer any questions that might still be out there. So the presentation is designed to sort of give you information that's a little bit more detailed than what you've originally gotten via email, and then with the hope that this prompts any other additional questions. I know the FAQ went out, that might have answered some of those pieces. And there, I'm going to just be honest and say that some of the questions you might have, I don't have the answers to yet, but we want to make sure we hear from you in terms of what your thinking is. So really the intent is to share some information and then take questions from the group as we go on. So thanks for coming. I know that you're all familiar with our work here because your students attend here, but I want to make sure that you realize that we are connected directly to the district's mission as well. And that's to really look at the whole child, both the academic and the social emotional pieces, and growing them as engaged civic learners so that they're ready for their future. And we've always been linked to that mission, but I think it's a nice reminder for all of us that the elementary buildings link into the middle schools and into the high schools, and we're all in our own way trying to meet this objective of personalizing the learning and making sure that we're serving the entire student and not just thinking of them in one aspect. So you know the amazing people that work in this building every day, and they've been working very hard over the last 4 years and even then some to build a common set of beliefs that we can all align to so that as we make decisions both instructionally in the classroom and as a building leadership team, we are keeping these things in the forefront of our mind as we serve you as families and your students every day. So these are common beliefs that we've been working on, and they are the beliefs that we will continue to work on. The changes in the building will not mean that suddenly we don't believe these things anymore. We want to live these and bring these into the classrooms, both in the impact program and in the standard classroom program. So we will still be focused on trying to meet students' individual needs in both settings. We still believe strongly that curriculum instruction needs to be dynamic and engaging and allow kids to really find those passions and interests and be at their level so that they can continue to grow. We still believe that trusting and nurtured relationships make for a healthy school climate, and our staff are committed to having that both with you as a family and with the students in the classroom community and amongst all the adults that work together. That has not changed. And for us, your engagement as parents continues to be a very important belief for us as a school as well. So both programs will be guided by these beliefs and will continue to be guided by the beliefs that we've been living with and we will continue to bring to life in the coming years. Come on in. As has been announced, the school structure will be changing for 2020-21, which is a really hard school year to say, I have to say. We will be transitioning all of our kindergartens into a standard traditional model. We're anticipating right now 3 sections of kindergarten, which is what we have currently. Students will spend most of their time in the standard classrooms. They'll spend most of their time with their classroom teacher, and they will experience the same district curriculum and Minnesota standards that the other schools here in Lakeville do. We will have one community of impact going forward that will start in grade 1 through grade 5. And that will be what you've been experiencing for the last 3 or 4 years. So one community, one classroom of each community, that opportunity to flex between grades to meet student needs, and that teacher group collaborating together. And really that the focus of student agency and the multi-age environment will be there. That agency and growth mindset is really a belief we have for all of our students, and so I don't see that changing in the standard model. There are common academic expectations that will exist side by side in both programs. All classrooms will be delivering instruction based on the Minnesota state standards, and all classrooms will be using the district curriculum. So both of those will nest together consistently. We will also use all the same common reporting tools. So whether that's map testing or progress monitoring or any data points that the district is asking us to collect, we're going to continue to use those to guide instruction. And then all of our students will still, in both programs, will continue to participate in any statewide testing, the MCAs being an example of that piece. And I think it's really important to know that teaching has evolved and changed over the years, and it's not an isolated act. So we are highly collaborative here, and right now we're collaborating vertically K-5, but we also collaborate across communities horizontally. So that professional collaboration will continue in the standard model and inside impact model, so that teachers have peers that they can share ideas off of, make connections to, build a robust program of learning for students. That's happening now, and that will continue to happen in the coming years in both programs. Have a lot of the same common learning experiences. All the specialists will be the same: Phy-Ed, PE, art, music, STEM. Those people will deliver that program for both the standard classrooms and the regular classrooms. And then our special education services, English language learning services, Discover and school counselor, those folks will continue to serve kids in both models across the building as they currently do as well. So a lot of those elements will be familiar and similar for your students. We will continue to do all of the work we've been doing on social emotional learning. So our classroom schedules will continue to accommodate a classroom meeting every single morning in the classroom so that students have that landing point. It's a greeting, an activity, a chance to connect. It's a chance for teachers to interact with students in the morning and check in, build friendships, build that sense of classroom community. That's going to continue. All students will continue to participate in the monthly assemblies and the activities and sliming Mrs. Smith and earning tickets. I think I'm going for the dance party, but they seem to want pajama day, so I might have to find my pajamas here pretty quick. And all of our social emotional learning school-wide themes around respect, responsibility, kindness, and safety will be the same in both programs. We'll continue to build that focus on having kids have an opportunity to communicate, collaborate, interact with each other, and build those skills. For some students, they're really starting to blossom as they get older into some of those leadership opportunities. So our current 4th and 5th graders are in student leadership. How many of you have students who are on the student leadership teams? CARES team, GREEN team, all of that will continue, and it'll exist in both programs. That's turned out to be a really robust way to get lots of students engaged in leadership. I think there's about 50 kids in our 4th and 5th grade who do various service to the school, whether it's peer mentoring, bus patrol, green team and tech team and those things. So those opportunities to kind of stretch yourself as student leaders will continue to exist as well. There has been a question I do want to make sure people know. We, in the current configuration we do have some students who would like to see their grade level peers more often, and that's been a challenge for us because of the way the schedules have worked. And we really saw that need as something that the older students seemed to want more or have more awareness around it. Younger students didn't quite maybe even realize it. So the 4th and 5th grades have been setting aside some time to do both some academic collaboration horizontally, as well as some social time, common recess, and a couple of things like that. So we'll continue to try to layer that in for our older students, that chance to see friends who may be in the impact model or who are not in the impact model. We'll continue to layer that in for the next school year. That's something we've been working on this year. I think the teachers have done a nice job of making that very purposeful for students, not just like randomly going out, but having kind of a set thing they're going to do together. And I think the 4th grade teachers shared that the students called it was like a family reunion that day. They all went out and played some games together. So we want to support that social emotional opportunity for your students at the older grades as well. We, at this time, are hoping that we will continue service learning. The staff feels very strongly that that is a great way to engage students in empathy and thinking broader and bigger than themselves. So there's strong support for us to continue that classroom-based service learning and to continue to find ways for us to connect around that and do those projects as a whole building. Last spring we did H2O for Life, and that really brought the school together. So we're looking at doing that. The logistics of all of that have not quite been worked out, but I think it's a pillar of the impact model and the building that we've really enjoyed doing. And I think there's strong support amongst staff to how we're going to execute that to make sure we don't lose that piece. We will continue to do our day of service in December. That's been I think we're on year 5 of that day, and that's really been a great way for the school to come together. So that's another opportunity we would look for to make sure that students have that experience to be civically engaged. And then I spoke to the student leadership opportunities that we'll continue to support so kids can have a voice in what's going on and also contribute, talking about the tech team starting to learn how to set up the assemblies and some of those things. So we're really looking forward to continuing to build on that. So to clarify or make sure everybody understands, right now we've been sending out and really want I really want to hear from every family so that we make sure we don't miss anyone. Any students currently in the building are eligible to tell us up through next Friday, the 7th, that they want to be considered for the selection process to be in the impact community. If we don't hear from you, we're going to try to reach out to you, but if you don't fill that out, we're going to assume you want to be in the standard classrooms. And right now I've got about 140 kids accounted for, so I'm missing about half of the kids that I need to know what you want. So if you haven't filled that form out, that's what we're looking for so we can make sure that you're included in that selection process. And if you were intra-district transferred over here, as I know some of you are, or you open enrolled from outside the district, but you're living right here in this building now, we are treating you as if you are an attendance area family. If you're here, then you're eligible to be part of that selection process. So I just want to make sure people know that and spread the word if people in your neighborhood or cul-de-sac haven't been able to come tonight, to make sure you get that form filled out so we know what your preference is. I would hate for you to not have that opportunity to be in the program if we missed you on that. And this just speaks to that. I'll speak briefly about the application process. So we will sort the students by grade. We will run the application process as we have for families who have been coming over to Impact Academy from outside the attendance area. That process will take place on the 11th, and then you'll be notified via email if you're in the selection process by email what your status is. Have you been enrolled or are you on the wait list? So then we'll have families confirm that yes, they're enrolled and that's the decision they want. If anyone declines, then that's when we would start pulling families off of the wait list. We will do it by grade, and we do need to meet the class sizes need to be balanced across the grade, so we don't end up with 30 fourth graders in impact and only 21 in outside of impact by grade. So that will determine how many seats actually exist in each community, if that makes sense. I know the details on the website are very complicated to read through, but I just want to make sure folks know that's where the step-by-step process will happen. I will be doing that with Andrew Barron, at the district office on the 11th, and then we'll notify you via email. Hi, come on in. I'm going to turn it over to Superintendent Baumann to talk a little bit about the rationale for change, and then we will open up the floor for questions. Thank you.
Well, good evening. I'm Michael Baumann. I'm the superintendent for Lakeville area schools, and thank you for coming this evening. This is a very difficult decision that we've had to work our way through, and I want you to know it has not been taken lightly. Although the impact that it has across the community is significant, and I bear full responsibility for it, and I want to just say that up front. The second thing I want to make sure that you understand is that the rationale for doing this has a lot of complexity to it, but I'll try to simplify it in the best way that I can. And the first thing, and the first bullet up there, is I've been charged with the task of managing growth in this district. And here's the picture, just so everybody is clear on what it is. By 2025, we will have 1,000 more elementary students in our system, 1,000. If you look at the average size of our schools at the 500 to 600 range, we're 2 schools short. That's a problem that we're having to face long range in Lakeville. It's a good problem, but it's a difficult problem, and we're trying to deal with that. Decisions have to be made now that are going to impact us 5 to 10 years from now. And if you project that forward, you can also assume there's a challenge in the middle school as those 6th graders, 5th and 6th graders start, from 4th to 5th and then the 6th grade, because we're 6, 7, and 8 in our middle schools. And we don't anticipate changing that, okay? We want to afford an opportunity, and we think it's going to take 3 or 4 years to get Orchard Lake at a higher level of enrollment. One of the challenges that we have right now is that we have 2 elementary schools that are over 700 in their current enrollment. We have another that's on its way there, Eastview, probably Christina Huddleston as well. If you've noticed, we put an addition onto Cherryview, and you will see an addition go up at Lake Marion, because we cannot keep up with how fast the housing and those things are going on. And we're trying to avoid the other major challenge that you have in any school district, and that's doing radical boundary shifts, which causes even more challenges across the system. So we know that as we get through the process here, this school is filled to about 66% capacity. All the other elementary schools are 80, 90, or over 100% capacity. So that's where we're stuck with this kind of situation. And if I waited another year or another year, it only makes the problem worse right now. And then the last thing I would say is that I wanted to make sure that we preserved what we can or could preserve within the Impact Academy model and the process of teaching and learning that has, because it has great efficacy for our students, and we wanted to preserve that. But the other part of this is we have to go back to a standards-based model in some portion of the school. So the concept is a school in a school with Impact Academy, and then try to draw back students who left for a variety of reasons. So that's the rationale behind what we're trying to do here. If there were a better way, I would surely love to know what it is. It's unfortunate that that I have to do this right now, but had to do it. So I'm trying our best to do what we can for those who did love the impact model, and I'm trying to bring back our enrollment. We can't do it overnight, we know that, and so it's going to take us a little bit of time. But we want Orchard Lake to be a thriving school with a full enrollment and to fit into the challenge that we have with the growing enrollment that we're going to have across the system.